This is the Quarter Life Crisis webinar, and I'm just going to be sharing my story on how I went through my period of having this crisis and what I did, what I did not do to help me. My name is Nifemi, and I'm going to tell my story, my 25 years of my story in like 3 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to start with just running you back through my life 25 years ago. So I was born in a particular year, 1994, February 9, and I was such a very handsome child, really handsome. Life wasn't as difficult as it is now. Everyone loved me literally, like people were struggling to carry me. That's the story I was told. I'm probably the favorite of my parents, but I was a very happy chap. I went to school, went to uni, I did my master's, and it felt like I had a direction with life, and everything just kept on like moving according as I thought as it should be. So I kept on going with life regularly. Went to uni, came out with a good grade. Went to do my master's. Finished the first class, second best grade students in school. I worked in an agency, home and abroad. I literally started the marketing department in the company. So like on paper, like bro, at 25, I thought I had achieved a lot of things. Like I have done so much with my life. And if I'm going to describe myself, I feel like one of the things that consistently I have been able to do with my life is to find ways to help people. And in all my life, I have always looked for the opportunity. And at the moment, I am doing this in these several ways. So I've always wanted to help people. So I help young boys imbibe great morals through my work with life skills curriculum under the Boys to Men initiative. I also help underserved communities, kids in underserved communities get access to quality education through my work with Slum to School. My work with Monthly Inspires, which is what is anchoring this session, is helping millennials get clarity and set a path towards their future. And that's a very important part of my work because I realized that I was in a particular age bracket and I had to struggle to find some clarity by myself, even if it felt like there were a lot of people trying to help me. But I had to find clarity myself and make some tough decisions myself. And I thought like, if I can find a technique to get this done, I don't think any other person should have to go through the whole pain of finding it themselves. So that's what I do with Monthly Inspires. I also reach out to young people whereby we have conversations about Jesus Christ in my work with their pages. So as you can see, like, I mean, this on a CV is pretty much great, yeah? It's like, bro, if you've done a lot of things, like that's what everyone would say. And it felt like that for like a period. Like I said as well, I'd also been in marketing for like a long time. Immediately I finished uni, during my NYC, I worked in an agency all through today, whereby I am now learning to be a content strategist. And I love advertising a lot because it helped me tell this kind of stories. It teaches me how to tell this story. And with that professional opportunity and development, I've been able to meet people and work on brands that have been able to thrive in this country, both home and abroad. I worked on Jonathan's campaign at some point. So my life like was pretty much great, yeah? It was really great. Like, and people were like, oh my God, this is so good. So when people always ask me, like, what motivates you, Nick? And like, I started asking myself because in my story, I realized there was a common theme in my story. So I decided to know what motivates me. And people is one of the main things that I realized motivates me. I am motivated to help people get better, but I know that even in the process of doing that, I needed to get better. So every day I'm looking for opportunities to become better as a person in order to help people get better. So like if you see my story from now until this point, when I turned 25 in February 2019 and I was driving on third mainland about to drive into the ocean, you would assume that what is wrong with you? Like you pretty much have a great life. You've achieved a lot of things in people in your age bracket haven't achieved. And the story about me driving on third mainland or on Lekki, Ikoyi, and about to eat or just taking pills at night and say I wanted to just quit everything. It's the end game. It was like at the end of it all because there's been a lot of things that are just piled up to that moment. So it wasn't that was the beginning of the story. And I began to wonder why is it that at this particular age, I turned 25, I was working at a company whereby I love the people so much, and they are going to feature a lot in this story because a lot of what I went through, I was able to go through it and well because of them. I was working with great people. I had achieved a lot. Why is it that at this particular age I felt so stuck? At some point in this period, I lost my work so much, and anyone that knows me at the time knew that I was always spending more time at the office. But in my lifetime as a professional worker, if that's a correct word, I have never ever had such a very bad review than my first quarter review in 2019. And it was so horrible. Like, I had clients reject my work several times. I had clients report me to my CEO. I had a lot of issues with clients, both and even internal work wasn't coming out well. And it felt like the only thing that felt okay in my life was the thing that was not coming crumbling. So there was no any other place to look to. Everything just felt so bad, so horribly. And I began to wonder, like, what happened? Like, why is it that I turned this particular age and everything in my life felt like as if they needed to change? I started feeling so bad. I get anxiety attacks were spiraling, panic, like the smallest text message can send me, literally, can just send me, and I'll start wondering what's going to happen for the next 1 month. And in April as well, so that I don't make it seem as if it's something I couldn't control. In April as well, I made a very stupid financial decision that rendered me broke almost every month because I had to pay the debt. And I realized that from that moment downward, it wasn't all smooth. It was just from one issue to another, and I couldn't even figure out life at the moment. And that's when I started realizing that there's something wrong with me. Like, because if people that know me, they know that I'm so very happy. Like, I play a lot. I try to have as much fun as I can. And for a long time, I would have never thought I'd be someone driving on third land or trying to take pills to end his life because of like it can't be me, Jai boy, someone that likes to have fun. It can't be me in any way. But yeah, it happened. And this is why I thought it was very important to tell this story, because a lot of time I couldn't reach out to a lot of people because I don't think anyone was going to understand me, and it just me to understand myself. So that's my story. And the video comes after this that kind of just explains the story better from other people's perspective. So just enjoy. The whole essence of the video I was about to show, it showed a category of people, young people, trying to explain what they were going through at the period. It showed a lot of young people that they were going through a lot of problems and no one was ready to listen to them. And it was a trailer for a movie that is called Life Crisis. And a lot of people at the period did not even believe it was something real. So in part of the video, when I realized what went wrong in my life at the point, and I could just categorize them into three different things. The first one is that I felt lost. And it's the kind of situation whereby everybody feels like they can find you, but you can't find yourself. You don't even know where you stand. You don't know if what you're doing is the right thing. And the more you try to figure it out, the more you get missing. And it just takes a lot of time to just be able to drag yourself out of where you find yourself. So I felt lost, really very lost. Like I was just going deep, deep, deep into the desert and no one else could find me. The second one is I felt so unfulfilled. And this point was very key for me because remember I mentioned my work with Sloan to School. As of 2018, when I became very active in fundraising, I raised almost 600K to take almost 12 kids into school. But 2019, I even became a team leader in 2019, so which means like I should be able to do more because I've been recognized as someone that is doing great work here. I couldn't even raise 50K. I wasn't interested. I remember people calling me to say, don't you even want the money? And I didn't even feel fulfilled enough to be able to find money to help these kids. And I was so unfulfilled at this point. And the third one is that this anxiety was the king of the day. At every moment, I'm just anxious, asking myself, what's happening? What am I doing in my life? Like, what is it? This email can come and just take me off, the text message, a phone call. I was literally anxious. And when people asked me, how are you? Like when people come to say, how are you? The only thing that I could say was that I'm tired. But I am tired it's a combination of so many things. So a lot of people just talk like work was very stressful for me, which it was. But the I am tired was I am tired of it all. Because I am lost, I am unfulfilled. I'm very anxious, I'm afraid, I'm having panic attacks regularly. I am tired of it all. But it was the only way, it was the only word I could put together to sort of explain what I was going through. It was I was tired. And at the point I wanted to say, I can't be the only one this tired. There have to be other people that are tired like this. It was not in a bid to look for followers or community to join me, but I said, it can't be just me tired. There has to be more people that are tired. And I went to look for stats. 75% of 25 to 33 years old say they experienced quarter life as a period of insecurity and doubt. They were tired. The other group says they felt under pressure to succeed in relationship, in career, and in finance before 1830. They were also tired. And I can go on and on about why this is an issue and why we need to start having these conversations. And it's so important to have it at this point because a lot of people are home now with so many fears, so many anxiety about what's going to happen. And a lot of people are not ready to recognize that these issues are occurring and we need to learn how to deal with it. So what is quarter life crisis? What is this term that I've been mentioning for like the last 10 minutes? And it's just a period of intense soul searching that occurs between your mid-20s and your early 30s. You're struggling to cope with life. It's very, like life doesn't even make sense at this point. You're struggling to cope with life and your emotions. Your emotions are spiraling. You can't even get it together. You're struggling to just being able to have proper conversations. You're hiding from everybody because you don't think you have it enough to give people. It's a period where you ask yourself the big, crunchy questions. Questions that you start saying, what am I doing with my life? And this period also leads to a very important thing I'll get to, which is comparison. So a friend is getting engaged, you're saying, oh my God, I'm 29 now, I don't even have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You're feeling bored at work and you're saying that this is the right thing I should be doing, this is the right work I should be doing. The start of a new year gives you a massive panic attack. You're like, oh my God, what's this going to be like? And people are having fun, you're like, oh my God, what's happening? So you're not even sure about what's happening with your life and you now begin to compare with so many other people. But the good news is that this period can also be felt as a period of the turning point in your life, which is what I'm feeling. Which is why I thought it was very important for me not to go through it and now say I want to keep it to myself. I felt like it was important for me to go through it and say, I want to share this with people. I want to share my experience with people, not because I am now the best person in the world, because I want to be able to encourage people to realize that you can make this period a turning point in your life. And that's what it did. So I started asking myself again, why this age bracket? Why from our mid-20s to our early 30s? And when I first gave this talk here, the first thing I said when I mentioned this was I said that I feel like midlife crisis just came early. For me, like that's the first thing I say, like midlife crisis came early. And I try to justify it saying that the world is moving at a very fast pace and people are having problems that they should have later on in their life and they're having it now. But there are also two main reasons I kind of realized was for me. And the first one is purpose and fulfillment. A lot of young people, a lot of millennials want to feel fulfilled. They want to do meaningful work. They want to tread their life through on a particular purpose. They want to be able to do work that will make a difference. And when you're at this stage of your life, whereby you just finished uni, you're done with your masters, and you feel like you're doing the work you absolutely hate, excuse me, and you begin to wonder, like, what is this life? What am I doing with this life? And the second point was stress and burnout. No matter how many people want to defend this, I feel like we are one of the most stressed generations in the world. We're struggling to live with how many, like the world has crashed, economic has crashed a lot of times. We're dealing with this again. A lot of people are trying to figure out their life and the world is crashing. So we're constantly stressed. I work in advertising, yeah, and people that know advertising know the amount of effort you need to put in to make sure you get work out. So You're stressed professionally as a career. You're stressed in figuring out life. Okay, what am I doing the right thing? You're also stressed in figuring out your partner because people are saying yes again. You're stressed in figuring out a balance. Who am I? What do I stand for? You're stressed in like there's a lot of expectations, so we are stressed. And for me, I feel like this is why it happens to us at this particular age bracket between early 20s, mid 20s, and early 30s. So, from my experience, I wanted to be able to share some triggers that people need to start noticing at the point whereby you are having this crisis. And my first most important point is financial difficulty. And unlike me, that I made a very stupid decision at the point, unlike me that made that decision, some people did not even, they were just thrown into it. And it's the point where you've gone to school, yeah, you followed a particular trend. So finish secondary school, go to uni, do your masters. Your one uncle is going to give you a particular job, and you're working in a job. You have several certifications. You're working in a job that doesn't even pay you well, and you're struggling to pay for it. You're struggling to pay for this. You're struggling to help this next person, and you just go through that struggles every time. And the second one is on or underemployment. Like I said, the economy has crashed on already like twice now, and it's like, so a lot of people are not even getting the jobs that they want. A lot of jobs are not paying them as much as they deserve, and you're working times too. A lot of people are unemployed. The other one, which I've talked about before, is stress. Stress is a key part. You're stressed mentally, you're stressed physically, you're just tired. And people don't want to acknowledge that you're stressed. People just want you to keep doing. So stress is a major aspect. The next one is you're keeping up with unrelenting standards. So for me, I was lost. Like I couldn't even find myself. So I didn't even know what standards for me to take myself to. I didn't know what to tell myself. I didn't know whether this is a standard I should live up to. So every standard made sense. Why don't you do this? Made sense. Oh my God, you must do it this way. It made sense. And the last one, which is also a very vital point, is social media. Social media is good on so many points, but if you're going through a period where you're asking yourself big, crunchy questions about your life, whereby you feel your life is not as important as it should be, social media can be a trigger that would allow you to be able to go down the cycle. And it's an important aspect of it's one of the most important triggers, and we have to learn to control it. I like this point so much because you know when you leave school and they tell you like on the day of your graduation and they're saying to you that Nifemi, the world is a waste. Like you can be anything and anything you say to them. They're not lying actually, but I don't think like they say it in the right way. And for me, this was a very important part of my QLC. It's a very important one because I knew that I could be anything, but I wasn't anything. Some people want to be ballerinas, they want to be doctors and everything, but they're not that. For me, I wanted to be able to do this. I wanted to be able to help people by speaking with them and giving them encouragement from the things I've gone through and be able to set clarity, give them clarity. But I was at 10 p.m. picking up a client's call, explain to me why the grades and the layers are not equal. But that's life, that's the reality. So this constant reminder that I can be anything, but I'm not actually close to being anything, was a major part of it for me. So every day I was always reminded by one thing or the other that we are not anything every day. And I realized I needed to change at this point. I realized that if your life can't continue in this way, things need to change. And what I did here at this point is, this is a very important point I want people to take note of, because this particular sentence changed almost my life, because I started by doing what was necessary. So at the point, I realized that I wanted to be this thing. And I'm going to make something very clear now, because one of the few things I hold core to me is using your own context. What is your operating context? What matters to you? So in my context, I realized that this is what I wanted to be. Nifemi wants to be a leadership coach, for example. I needed to start by doing all that. And at the point, like I said, I was earning money, but I quit my job. I quit my job and like I needed to do this. This is what is going to give me the fulfillment that will clear every other thing for me. So I quit my job. Made no sense. So which is why I said you need to use your own operating context. What matters to you? What impact do you would these changes you are going to make have on your context? But for me, at the point, that decision I made was really necessary for my health. Then I needed to do what was possible. So I said, okay, I wanted to be able to speak with people, but I didn't have clarity of my life. So I started by figuring out how to get clarity on my life, workable methods and all of that. And I created a session which I used for myself to get clarity. Then I realized that after I did it, I got a chance to speak with some people. And from there, I had spoken to companies and their staff. The CEO has asked me to come and have the session with her. And the point is, I realized that I was now doing the impossible. So because at the point where I was going through this, it felt like it was impossible for someone to call me to do this. This webinar is what I refer to as impossible before. Because I had never thought I would be able to organize this webinar and just do it. Like whatever, like, but the point is, it's like, I made a decision to start by doing what was necessary. So at this point, I want people to be able to take maybe a sheet of paper near you and now begin to ask yourself in every area of your life, use your context and ask, what do you need to do that is necessary to change this thing? What is possible? Then just start doing it. And anyone that feels like they're able to share what they want to do that is necessary, what they want to do that is possible, can also share on the group. But I feel like in everything you're doing, if you're going through a period whereby you need to change certain things in your life, that particular sentence was very key to me because I knew I needed to do what was necessary. Then I started doing what was possible, and I'm here doing what's impossible. I'm doing anything. So I'm actually becoming the anything that people said. The world is now actually becoming my oyster. I am able to make decisions that can make me have control over some of the indices of my life and join them together to make sense to people and to myself. So I need people to now just write it down on a piece of paper or anything you have there and say what's necessary that you're going to do, what's possible, and do it. And in a few months' time, few weeks' time, you'll see yourself doing what's possible. In the period I have spoken at Social Media Week Lagos, it would have never happened. Like I literally went to speak to them on gaining clarity, me, that started speaking to people in February. It's like, how? It doesn't add up. But even if that not happened, I started doing what was possible. I'm organizing a webinar now. It doesn't make sense at the point because I didn't feel like, well, what can I do? But I am doing it, and it felt impossible. But I needed to do what was necessary and what was possible. So what are some of the signs I realized I had when I was going through a quarter-life crisis? The first one was depression and anxiety. Like I said, like I'm a very happy boy. Like pure full-time comedian. See, I crack a joke not for a living, but for fun. And it comes to me naturally. So when we have conversation of depression, I just felt like it can't be me, okay. Hey, it cannot happen because I will laugh my way out of it. But oh well, it happened. I constantly kept keeping to myself, and my feeling just kept deteriorating. Anxiety, I've said it a lot about it. It's one of the key things. Like I was so anxious about life, and it's not in a good way. It's like everything did not make sense. Everything just kept my anxiety attacks rolling. The second point is mood swings and fear. I was so afraid. I was so afraid to make a decision, so afraid to do this. The mood swings was so funny because I remember one of my friends, we were going to, there's this shawarma place at Lekki Fort Roundabout that evening. when we were driving there to get shawarma. Yes, this shawarma. Yes, we're getting shawarma, and the shawarma is actually very, very good. We're going to get shawarma, and we've been craving shawarma for a very long time. So I didn't even know I was having mood swings then. I just felt like, man. So when we bought the shawarma, me and this guy were jamming up in the car, having massive fun. Then all of a sudden, I just zoned off. I became afraid of everything. I started thinking of what's happening. I became depressed. And this guy was asking me, what's wrong with you? Like, just quiet all of a sudden. I said, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I just want to go home. I'm good. And I carried that feeling for like a week or so. And I didn't even know, it was until that I realized that I'm having massive mood swings where I'll be in a meeting and I'll just zone off. I'm not ready to talk to anybody. I just want to just be on my own and I'll just leave. The next point is general sense of dissatisfaction. Nothing satisfied. Like nothing actually. I didn't feel good with anything. I didn't feel like I was okay to help anybody. Nothing satisfied me. Then there's this always constant need to make some changes. And it's always that, like life is not how it should be. And you need to make changes. That need never disappears. It's just always there constantly. I need to make some changes. I need to, and for me, one of the big things about this constant need is that it creates self-awareness. Self-awareness is a big thing that came true from this period for me. Now the last one is the contact feeling of I don't know what I'm doing in my life. And this particular point is so ironic because everybody thought I was doing so great in my life. Like people wanted to be like me. A lot of people, Nifemi, bad guy. Don't pray to be like me, because as of today, this life does not have, as of that day rather, this life does not have direction. It's just going on its own. But everybody thought I knew what I was doing in my life. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. I'm just rolling, and moving consistently. This particular sentence is purely like quote unquote, this is me. If you ask me, talk about your quarter life crisis in a sentence or in this is what I would have said. And I'm going to read it verbatim. Quarter life crisis leads to anxiety. You notice everything, but everything bad in yourself and everything good in the next person. You feel hopeless, you feel stuck. At this point, your maybes are at the forefront. Maybe you can do everything. Maybe what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing. This was what I was going through. I was hopeless. Like I felt like there's nothing else to live for. Like there's no direction. I was stuck. Kept on going deeper the more I tried to find myself. And my maybes were just at the forefront. I remember trying to learn how to code. There's one very funny story. My friend started using his car for Uber. Yeah. And I said I was going to do the same because I thought like that's where my breakthrough would come from. So I felt like maybe if I do this next thing, it will be the biggest thing for me. Maybe if I try this next thing, that's where my whole focus will go. I tried a lot of things. Maybe, just maybe. But the thing I kept on doing was the thing I wanted to do. I didn't feel like it was something I was supposed to do. So this is like my experience in my words. This is what I went through. And it was a very painful period. I would not be a motivational speaker if I don't give you guys quotes, yeah? So I'm sorry for I'm not sorry. I love the cliche. But I love this quote a lot because it's very important to our lives. And it says in our lives, change is unavoidable. Loss is unavoidable. I started realizing that what I needed to do was change my life at the point. What I needed to do was make sound decisions from the point of from a point of intentionality. I want to be intentional about my decision. That's what I wanted. I needed to change the way I was living my life. But I didn't take the change with a lot of ease. I felt like it was too much pressure. I felt like, no, life can't be this hard. So change is unavoidable. Loss is unavoidable. But in the adaptability and ease lies our freedom. So it's how we are able to adapt, how we are able to be and get what you crave for. I'm not even sure this is the final form. I love this form of Nifemi, by the way. I'm looking great chat. But I'm going to have to go through a period of I need to change. I need to make some changes. And I'm now learning that in those changes, I need to accept them with ease and just let them run its time. One key thing, like I said, QLC, Quarter Life Crisis, brought to me is self-awareness. I became absolutely self-aware. It's like I wanted so many things to change in my life, but I didn't know how to. I knew, like, I was so self-aware of everything happening in my life that this is not right. Like, life can't continue like this. So I started asking myself, why did I need to become self-aware? And I was able to put it in this sentence, sorry for that. Self-awareness allows you to identify what's working, what's not working, what needs adapting, and allows you to consider the impact of those changes in your own operating context. And I love this a lot when I put it down, because what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I have these certain areas of my life. This is what is working. This is what's not working. And you're not saying, okay, I need to change this that is not working. But you're also not considering that if I make this decision, this is how it's going to impact my life. So I should be ready to live with that impact, because there's a greater reward from making this decision. And it's very important. And there's a video that's going to play next, hopefully this one plays, of Gary Vee trying to explain self-awareness.
This is a word that is rarely talked about in our space that I want to start building more attention for. Self-awareness. I want to deliver on this message so much. I would create a test or a drug that allowed people to become self-aware. One potion inject, not hustle, not smart, self-awareness. I don't fear being self-aware. I know I suck at a lot of stuff. I think everybody lies to themselves. Some people are meant to be B and C players, and I'm pissed that the narrative now is that you need to be a number one and have your company, because a lot of people are going to lose or leave money on the table because that's just the narrative. I'm such a positive guy. I struggle to think about the things I'm bad at, but self-awareness requires understanding both and then choosing which path you want to go through. I'm a big fan of going all in on your strengths and don't give a fuck about what you suck at. Self-awareness isn't only just betting on your strengths, it's accepting all your shortcomings. Let me tell you one thing. What works for me does not necessarily work for you. I think being at peace with yourself and your skill set is such an important part of this. Too many people try to be like me because it's sizzly and it's sexy and people want to be charismatic and on stage. So many of you do so many things better than I do. You can look at like how people roll and like it's great to admire and things of that nature, but it's so damn important to stick to like your DNA. Try to get to a place where you understand yourself and understand what your strengths are. You've got to find your self-awareness. All your shortcomings are there for a reason. They're there to also allow you to be great. Deep in your brain, deep in your heart, you actually accept all those shortcomings is the second your life goes on the offense. I worry that people don't tap into their strengths. You have to audit who you actually are, because then you're not going to bullshit yourself. You're going to storytell yourself, you're going to motivate yourself, but you're not going to bullshit yourself. And once you believe that, either for yourself or someone else told you, go directly all chips all into that. But we've all got something, and you just need to accept what's yours and go in on that. Then you've got a starting point to success. And so self-awareness at its finest is accepting your shortcomings and accentuating your strengths. I'm an entrepreneur.
So one thing I like very much of the video is it's how it explains how you need to audit yourself. And for me, it was an important part of this whole process that I had to go through. So before I create programs for people with my work with Nothing Inspires, one thing I try to do is I try to create a program for myself. So I try to live my truth. So I created a full-blown session for myself on how to be self-aware. And I categorize my strengths, my weakness, try to focus on the things I can do great without, like, try to put it out in the front, but also try to see how much I can improve on my weakness. And it's a very key thing, because when you become fully self-aware of yourself, when you completely know who you are, you know yourself, it will be difficult for people to define you. So no one else can come and tell you that you're not great at this thing because you know you are actually great at this thing. So in the process of creating the session for myself, this was the first place I started from. And I told myself, okay, I had to group my life into different sections. So I had the career, I had my friends, I had my family. Partner is for people that have a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. I want to group them into family. Fun, health, growth, travel, environment. I grouped all of them into that particular sections. And what I did was I said I was going to rate each of them from 0 to 10 on my level of satisfaction of that particular section. And the thing you should do when you're trying to do this on your own is the first number that comes to mind is what you should put there. Because at the end of the day, when you try to justify the number, it means you're trying to explain to yourself why you think you're great or you're not great at this thing. So the first number is usually the truest number. Then after you do this, you now go back to the definition I gave of why self-awareness is important. I say, what is working in this particular section? So in family, in career, what's working? What needs to stop? What needs to be adapted? What needs to change? And in doing that daily, in doing that consistently rather, you realize that you are making changes to your life and you are getting more aware of yourself daily. And it's a very important process that I had to go through in this period to realize that for me to change, I need to know who I am. It's not like as if I don't consistently know, but I didn't know the entirety of who Nifemi is. And I'm learning every day to know that thing, but the process is very key in empowering through your quarter-life crisis. So having a quarter-life crisis is not the end of the world, trust me. It's, for me and for so many other people I've spoken to about this topic, it's actually a good thing for you because that's the point whereby you feel like you need to change. So it's like a catalyst that forces you to grow. So you realize that you need to change, you need to grow. And there are some ways in which I was able to deal with my quarter-life crisis. And like I said, quarter-life crisis is a period of vulnerability and difficulty, which means that we all experience these things differently. I might have a threshold of pain that I can adapt to, and someone doesn't have that threshold. So what I'm trying to say with that point is that regardless of the points I put here, they're very great points for you to start with. But it's also important to use your context to say, what do you want to do about it? How can you change this using this particular point? So I try to put my points in verbs so that people can actually remember the steps. And it's find, connect, also, make, define, become, stop, and seek. It's like 8, but they're actually very key steps into you being able to deal with the period of insecurity and doubt. And the first point is find believers. Seek out soldiers, seek out solidarity. A lot of time when you are going through quarter-life crisis, the first thing that comes to mind is you want to keep it to yourself. You don't want to tell anyone because for me, that's what happened. I'm grateful to have friends and family that were able to accept it after I mentioned it. But a lot of time you don't want to tell anyone because you don't even know how that makes take it. Because you yourself are trying to even look for what it is and how it makes sense. You're trying to do that. And so you don't even know how to define it. You don't know what it is. So you have to look for believers. And believers are people that believe in your dream no matter what. See, they see the full picture. At this point for me, the solidarity I found was in my line manager. And it was very interesting because, like I said, I had the worst performance review ever in my life, my entire existence. Maybe when I failed one jam or no, you know what? I can't remember. I failed one like that was very bad. But this did not beat it, but it was second one. It was very bad. And because like people that know I'm good at what I do. Yeah. But because she knew that there was something wrong, she came to meet me one Monday morning and said, we need to talk. What's happening with your life? Like, you are going through a period that I don't understand. You're making silly mistakes. You are your work is affecting a lot of things. What is happening with your life? And I'm like, I'm good. But she didn't take it. She kept on pursuing. Then she formed something called Monday Morning Catch Up. From 7 to 8, we don't talk about work, we don't talk about anything, just life, just gist. She tells me some personal stories about her life. I move on and start saying my own stories. And in the 5-6 months in which I went through quarter-life crisis, the only thing I was looking forward to in life, and I'm being honest, was that Monday morning catch-up. Because in the conversation, I was able to find myself and realize that I'm actually good at this thing. I can actually try this thing. So which is why when I offered her my resignation letter, she knew it came from a place whereby it needs to live. So find believers, seek out soldiers, find solidarity. The next point is connect to your personal story. We all have one or two stories that make us different. What makes you tick? What's your story? Some of us know these stories. I know that I've always wanted to help people. For example, in high school, people used to call me, I was so very empathetic, so I cared out, like emotional and all that. So people used to call me woman a lot. And I tried to suppress that part of me, but I realized that that's the best part of me, and I can't keep it down because of what some people are saying. So your story will connect you to a new segment, people that want to listen to you because they share some sort of the same story as you. So don't tell someone else's truth. Just tell your truth and consistently create your own path. It's really very important as well. The next one is, and I love this quote from, yes, another quote from Jim Victoria. It's one of my best creative designers, and he says, connect to what makes you weird as a kid. I talk a lot. It's a very weird thing, but it's the truth. I always want to help people. And I remember I was saying to one of my friends, the guy that we do the life skills curriculum together, and I was saying to him that it's so weird that all of my ideas are almost now becoming non-profit making ideas. But it always starts from that, a need for me to extend myself to other people. The next point is also, but with intent. And you can see that I have a very massive red line on that intent because intention is really key. And for me to be able to do what I'm doing, I needed to get my intentions straight. I needed to get my intentions right. It was very important for me in this process. The webinar that I'm doing today, all of the work that went in the emails you received every day, the designs on my page, I did them. The videos, I did them. Reaching out to people to help me, how do I get this done, what do I do? I did the work, but it was towards a certain goal. It wasn't just doing the work for doing the works. It was doing the work because I knew I wanted to achieve something. So also, but with intent. The next one is define what success means to you. It's everyone has a definition of making success. At the end of the day, we all say that we want to make money. I truly want to make money as well. But we all have a definition of what success means to each and every one of us. But we end up using someone else's definition. Someone else buys a car and you feel like your life is not on the right track. Someone else builds a house and you feel like you're not living according to the standard. So define what success means to you. The next one is make the ask. This is very important. I knew that I could speak. I knew that I could create sessions to help people, but only me and me know. Then I started asking people, can I come and do this for you? Can I come and do that for you? Like, where I asked you guys that, do you guys want to come to my session? Do you guys want to hear me say something that might be helpful to you? So make the ask. Don't assume that people always know the things you are great at and they will find you one day. They might never find you. Let them know. Let one person know and the next person be able to say, oh, can you invite these guys to do this? I love this point a lot because I picked it up from brand archetype document. A brand archetype is when you're trying to connect the personality of a brand to a person. And sometimes one of the archetypes of a brand is be a missionary. And I love it so much because as a human being, and I'm certain so much, We exist primarily to change something in the world. It's one of the things we exist for. And it's not even looking at Nifemi like, oh, I'm going to do this non-profit thing. Nah, it's not that. It could be that you want to make changes in tech, in design, in fashion, in food, in photography, in writing. But the thing is that we don't wear that mission on our sleeves. We just put it somewhere people don't see it. But the thing is that it cannot be a marketing strategy whereby when you want to sell yourself to these people, you say you are this kind of person. So that kind of people, you say you are this kind of person. Your mission has to consistently be worn on your sleeve so people know exactly what you stand for and what you want to do. Aim to do meaningful work every time. I want to do meaningful work. I want to do work that matters. I want to do work that will change the world. And what do we do? It will inspire other people to do meaningful work as well. Big time. It's going to inspire people. Stop comparing yourself. Man, this is it's a big pot that quarter-life crisis leads to, because you just feel like you need to compare yourself with everybody. Everyone is doing something great, you're not doing something great. Like, it doesn't even have to be people having fun. I think one time that someone was going to church, and I felt like, Nifemi, I've not gone to church in a long time. You just compare yourself with everybody and anything that crosses by. And I was able to learn some tricks on how to be able to stop this and reduce this drastically. And the first one is consciously write down your goals and accomplishments. This is really important. Because I remember there was a time that someone achieved something and I felt like I hadn't achieved that thing yet. So what I did was I went back to my own goal, what I've written down, what I wanted to achieve. So I think the goal then was to reach out to 7 schools by July this year to take the life skills curriculum. I had reached out, I had gotten like 3 schools already at the time. So what I did was I sat down on my laptop and I started sending out emails to schools. And in doing that, I felt so great. Even sometimes I just put a post on a content on thing I want to do. If no one responds or someone doesn't respond, it doesn't actually really matter. But I get a lot of fulfillment in accomplishing that. The next point is water your own grass. The grass might be green on the other side, yeah? It might be green on the other side. But what are you doing about your grass? How are you consistently pouring out water on it every day to make sure it is green? How are you taking out the weed, things that are not useful to it? What are you doing about your grass? And that's the thing, like, once you have your goals written down, you'll be able to track them to say, what am I doing about this particular goal today, this week, this month, this year? The next one is social media detox. I'm 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out now. Like on my personal social pages, I'm 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, because there's a lot of things happening and it can just literally take you away from it totally. It's like, what's happening in this life? And you just get into a lot of comparison. So try to do some social media detox. The next one is turn comparison into inspiration. And let's even assume that you've gotten your intentions clear. For example, for me, I want to be able to do this coaching for a while, help people. My main goal is to build a school. One of my main goals rather is to build a facility to take off kids off the streets and give them a better life. I haven't done that today. I might not do that next week or next month or this year. But someone might have done it tomorrow. So which means it is possible. So instead of me to compare myself to that person, I use their story as inspiration. I let their story help me know that what I'm trying to do is actually achievable. If only I just keep on watering my own grass. The next one is accept where you are. It's really important. If you're doing a bad job with your life, with your finances, with your career, accept it and not begin to make certain changes. Don't lie to yourself. Be very realistic. The next one is love your past. Absolutely love your past. Like, I tell a lot of people story about my past because I feel like anything you're saying today is that story is a major part of it. It's something that makes me and forms me into who I am. Then the last one is tell a better story to yourself. I have a friend that is one of the greatest confidence boosters I've ever met in my life. He finishes the work and he says, "You are doing a great job. You have done well." He wakes up, he speaks great things to himself. I usually make jest of him because I call him a narcissist or a vain person. But in all truth and honesty, I have learned from his ways of telling himself a better story. So don't put yourself down. Don't define yourself badly when other people are not define you. There's a particular story in the Bible that I like so much about this part where it says when the 12 spies went into Canaan to see the land was good for them. And they said in the last verse, it says, we saw ourselves as ants and they saw us as that. So what are you seeing yourself as? Because this is what you tell yourself, people will tell you. Because you can't accept what you are not. Nobody can call me a failure and will accept it. Because that's not what I am. So tell yourself a better story. And the last point in the always is to seek therapy. Sometimes all you need is a bouncing bag. Someone to just bounce off everything you're going through. So seek therapy. In conclusion, I'm going to bore you with some quotes. And I love this a lot because life is not a competition, even if it feels like it, because you struggle to get into, you compete to get into uni, you compete to pass your entrance into uni, you compete to get a job, you compete to get a promotion. Life is not a competition. Stop worrying about what others are doing. Instead, cultivate appreciation for your own strengths, accomplishments, and learnings. And my favorite part is the learnings, because a lot of times we only cultivate appreciation for our strengths and accomplishments. Our learnings are like, bleh, it just happened. But you have to be able to, I appreciate what I went through. The decision I made last year, I appreciate it because the person you're seeing today is because of those things. And no one can use it to talk to me. This one is our clocks are different. Some of us are in Canada with, I don't know, it's Pacific time, but because it's 8 p.m. here, and it's probably 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. in your country, doesn't mean it's never going to be 10 a.m. here. And that's really key for you to understand. You are in a particular season of your life whereby it would get brighter, but what are you doing to serve the season? What are you doing to what's in your front? So our clocks are different, but they are all ticking. So it means that at some point it will be morning. But are you ready? Have you slept enough to take the day when it's morning? Or are you just wondering and staying awake wondering what the person that is already morning is doing? And I love this a lot because it says not even God is going to judge you based on other people's performance. Like, God is going to judge you based on what you've done, what Nifemi has done, what Atim has done, what Biola has done. Just that. So your biggest competition is who you're supposed to be versus who you are. That's it. Like, I want to be this person. I want to be this kind of person. How am I tracking to achieve that? And this last says, how can you align your gifts? It's a question I ask myself. I think people should write it down because it's like, how can you align your gift with the impact you want to have in the world and your desired quality of life? It's really like, and the three things there is your gift, the impact you want to have in the world, and your desired quality of life. I want to live a great life. I want to have, my quality of life needs to be a top notch. But I also want to have great impact on the world, and I have some gifts. So how can I align these three things together to make sense? That alignment is different from everyone. It's not going to be the same thing for you, not the same thing from the next person you're sitting by. It's different. Then my charge for everyone, as I wrap this up now, is I know that one day you guys will watch me speak to help people as United Nations. One day, pretty soon. But today, I'm going to focus on concluding my first ever webinar. So tell yourself every time you're doing something, one day you're going to get to the big goal. But today, you need to focus on concluding this thing in your front. So tend to what's in front of you, one step at a time. Thank you. You can power through this. I believe in everyone. It's a really important conversation for us to have as young people, as millennials. I think that it's to encourage each other to be able to grow and become better. So you can power through this. You can actually use it as a catalyst for your life. You can. And I believe you can.